I'm actually not a very good chess player. I know the basics of it, but I've never really invested any time towards getting any good. So, yeah, inherently, I'm not that good at it. But I actually like watching chess matches of Magnus Carlsen. And ever so often in these matches where the game will just stop in the middle and they'll just shake hands, and I would have to go to the title, and the title says, Magnus Carlsen wins, or Magnus Carlsen makes a mistake and loses. And sometimes I'll even pause the video when they're showing the full chessboard and the game, and I still will not understand why the game is over. I will not see how he has won. I will not see how he has lost. And it continues to baffle me because I'm not a chess grandmaster. But what they've done, or what these grandmasters have done, and they've done it so well, is that they've learned how to actually play two, three, sometimes even 10 steps ahead. And they can see, they can play out almost every permutation, and they can see that this game is now at that place where I actually can't lose it. There's nothing you can do that would actually stop me from losing this game. And the other individual would be able to actually see the same chessboard and say, I'm actually at a place right now where it doesn't matter what I do, there's no way I can win this game. And I found that so interesting that these people have become so good at what they do that they don't even have to play out the entire game. They can play out the entire game in their minds and reach that place where they said, I've made this move, I've made this move. The eventuality of this, like this game is now inevitable, you are going to lose. And that to me is absolutely fascinating. I used to also like watching Dragon's Den. The UK version was my favorite. And you would see the same thing where in one conversation with a series of questions, these dragons would be able to look at essentially any business idea and say, yeah, this is not going to work, or this is a horrible idea. There's no way that you can scale this thing to the point where it actually makes it worth my time and my money. And I found that so interesting that these people have been at this thing for so long that with a series of questions, or in the case of chess, with a series of moves, they can actually then determine the outcome. They can play out many scenarios and see that there's no way I can win this, or there's no way I can lose this, or there's no way in which this business can reach that place where it's actually worth my while. And I think that is really what especially in this time where the year is actually coming to an end. I almost said the world, but the year is actually coming to an end. And we are now thinking about the new year. We are thinking about our New Year's resolutions and whatever. Generally, I don't make any, mostly because my plans tend to overlap. So I generally have, and this is the point of this video, I generally have two steps. So I generally think about 2 or 3 steps ahead. I generally think about what are the next 2, 3 steps. And over the course of the next phase of my life, or this during this phase of my life, how many of the steps have I been able to accomplish over this past 12 months? How many of those steps still remain that now need to be pushed into the new year and whatever else? Are we looking at the whole year? We're looking at half the year and whatever else. And I think that really, you want to get to that place similar to these chess masters, similar to these multi-millionaires that can look at business ideas, is that you want to be able to look at your life. You want to get to a place where you've got so much information, you've got so much skill under your belt, that you can actually play this thing out 2, 3 steps ahead and realize that, okay, this is the right opportunity for me. This might not be the right opportunity for me. This is the next logical step for me in my career, or this is the next logical step for me in my personal life. This is what I need to be focusing on. This is what I need to be doing. And you are thinking about the next 5 moves. You are thinking about the next 5 steps that you need to take in your career. So you're not just thinking about what needs to happen next year. You're thinking about what needs to happen over the next 5 years. What does that actually look like? Because I think we tend to be too linear in our planning, in that we only focus on the next year. We focus on the New Year's resolution. But I think if you were to actually plan out an entire phase of your life, an entire phase of your career, and say, this phase will be over the next 5 years, or over the next 10 years, or over the next 2 years even. But in it, there are about 5 or 10 steps that I then need to take. And you are now thinking in terms of those next 5 or 10 steps. And I think that really is more meaningful when now you are thinking in terms of steps. And so it's easy for you. Once you actually get a handle of it, it becomes much, much easier for you, similar to these chess masters where they don't have to play out an entire game. You don't have to play out an entire interview process. With a series of questions, it's easy for you to determine at this phase of my life, this is not the opportunity for me. In this next phase of my life, I'm actually going to have to move on because I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't see how I would possibly get that here, so I need to move elsewhere. And that elsewhere, it's easy for you to determine what elsewhere looks like because of the phase that you are in and the next steps that you need to take. So you already know the kind of environment you are looking for, the kind of projects you want to be working on, because you are already thinking about the next 5 steps. You are thinking about the next step in your career, the next phase in your career, and what steps you would need to take to actually get there. And I think that is more meaningful than just thinking about the New Year's resolution, this is the next step, but actually thinking about the next 5 steps. What do the next 5 steps actually look like for you personally in your career and whatever else? And I think the pandemic has done a bad thing to us in that we are now just thinking about the next step. How do we make it past this coming month? How do we get through this year? And whatever else. But, we're going to make it through this. We're actually going to get through this. So you can actually start planning the next 5 steps. You shouldn't actually stop planning the next 5 steps because we are going to get through this.